Namaste friends, my name is Amit Garg. Welcome to your astrology channel, Ganesha-Hanuman.com. Today we'll talk about the month of March. The month of November. Before we begin, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. That helps a lot. And so this video, we're going to talk about the transits in November, a very busy month. It's going to be very detailed video. We'll look at the chart for all the 12 rising signs, specific placements of different planets, and there's lots going on here. Lots of planets are going to change signs. So we'll talk about all of that along with the dates, specific times, everything. So very detailed video, you'll learn a lot. We'll talk about each of the 12 rising signs. And this is mainly applicable for rising signs, not so much for the Rashi, not so much for the moon sign. So look at your rising sign and follow along. You'll learn a lot based on the chart, the placement of planets for each rising sign. So let me share my screen. All right. So this is what's happening. This is the chart. So lots of shifts happening this month, right? So November 23rd, Venus changing signs, Mercury changing signs, Mars changing signs, Sun changing signs. So of course, most of these planets, they change sign maybe once a month or once every 2 months sometimes, depending on their speed. And also Saturn is going to go direct on November 4th. There'll be a separate video I'm going to make for that. That'll be long transits, a long direct motion of Saturn in the sign of Aquarius through June of next year. And then Rahu Ketu, of course, changing signs. So they're changing signs based on the true nodes. They're going to change signs on November 28th, but based on the mean nodes, the date is going to be October 31st. So that's going to be a big shift happening. So there'll be a separate video for that as well. So mainly today we'll talk about all of these shifts happening, and those shifts we'll talk about each of the rising signs. So first, so this is the chart for November 3rd. Okay, so Venus is changing signs from Leo to Virgo. See, Leo is a fire sign, and Leo is ruled by Sun, so it's the enemy of Venus, right? So Venus has been in a very tough spot. So on November 2nd Pacific time and November 3rd India time, and Venus is going to move to Virgo. Now, Virgo, of course, it's the sign of debilitation of Venus. So this is Aries rising, as you can see. I've noted down here also. Aries rising, number 1 sign. So Venus is in the 6th house. It's debilitated, right? But it's better than being in Leo. I'll explain what it means, Venus in Virgo. And then you see all these 3 planets, Mercury, Mars, and Sun. Mercury, Mars, and Sun, they are in Libra. And of course, Ketu is in Libra, right? And so lots of energy concentrated here. And Mercury is going to change signs on November 6th. Mars and Sun are going to change sign on 15th and 16th. So we'll talk about that. So to begin with, Venus will be in the sign of Virgo throughout the month of November. Okay, most of the month of November, starting November 2nd. What that means is Venus in Virgo is, you can call it as calculated love. Venus is the planet of love, and Virgo is the sign of calculation, analysis and all of that. So it's going to be like practical love, right? So it's not going to be like all hunky-dory. It's not going to be all sweet little things. It's going to be like what's in it for me, and give and take. It's all going to be very practical terms. And then also it's going to be like attention to details. The both people will be watching each other and observing, and so sort of they'll look for a perfect match, which is never going to be the case, right? But then also there'll be lots of focus on health. 6th house is health. Venus is sitting in the 6th house, right? And Venus in Virgo, see, it's a combination of Venus and Mercury. So that means amazing time for creating beautiful things, right? Venus is all beauty and finer things in life, and Mercury is business and skills and all of that. So this is a perfect time to create some things. in your relationships, though, be very careful not to be, not to expect a lot of things, not to be very, very perfectionist, okay? And so Venus is the ruler of the second house and the seventh house, right? Venus is the Maraka planet for Aries rising in the sixth house of health and conflicts and enemies, all of that. So be careful, again, be careful in your relationships with your family and with your spouse, because family is second house, Venus is the second house ruler, and spouse is seventh house. So biggest caution for Aries rising, of course, Aries rising itself is a fire sign with Mars being the Lagna lord. So a very could be a aggressive or a like impulsive personality, right? So be careful with your relationships, with your family and with your spouse or partner. But other than that, you can focus on creating beautiful things, creating things that are of value to other people, service, and you can start, health routines. Venus is also about healing, especially, deep healing. Venus is the Shukracharya who had the knowledge, the Vidya of Sanjeevani. So excellent time to start health routines, to serve other people, and focus on developing mutually beneficial relationships, okay? Then next will be, let's move on to November 10th. So until November 6th, Mercury is in Libra, okay? So Mercury in Libra, that usually means harmonious communication, but as we've seen, it's anything but harmonious communication, because Mercury has been in Libra along with Ketu and Sun and Mars, all of that, right? So that was a huge, massive Pitta energy in Libra. So that didn't happen. So it was not a good placement for Mercury in Libra. But starting November 6th onwards, Mercury will move over to Scorpio. Mercury in Scorpio usually is like hidden communications, deep communications. Okay, so starting November 6th onwards, throughout the month of November, most of the month of November, Mercury will be in Scorpio. That means, and that'll be in the seventh house. Okay, so seventh house is our partnership, right? No, I'm sorry. Let me pull it. Aries, right? Sorry. So Mercury, it'll be in the eighth house, right? So Aries, we're still looking at Aries rising. So for Aries rising, Mercury will be going to the eighth house of change, transformation, money from other people. So there's good chances of getting inheritance or money from in-laws or money from your clients. So very good month for doing client work. This eighth house is the money from other people, right? So Mercury is the planet for money and commerce and business. So wonderful placement for doing client work. Mercury is also your third house ruler and the sixth house ruler. So related to skills. So develop some skills in esoteric sciences, right? So eighth house is deep hidden wisdom. And sixth house is health routines sitting in the eighth house. So you can focus on some deep cleansing, very, very deep cleansing. And excellent time for like some very thoughtful, deep, webinars, or you can, if you're a speaker, this is excellent time to make very meaningful, deep, speeches, words. There may be, secrets may be revealed with respect to your employment or with respect to your siblings. So be careful about that. Other than that, a good time to go deep into esoteric wisdom and sort of creating a business out of it, doing it as a business. Then we'll move on to the next phase. So when Mars and Sun are going to change signs in November on 15th and 16th respectively. So this is the chart for November 17th. So let's say, so second half of the month, Mars and Sun are going to be in the eighth house along with Mercury. Okay, so they are all going to be in Scorpio. They've been in Libra along with Ketu, but starting November 15th and 16th respectively, Mars and Sun will join Mercury in the sign of Scorpio. Scorpio is, Mars in Scorpio is like fearless warrior. Okay, so but fearless warrior who wants to take revenge. Okay, so there'll be lots and lots of anger and wars and things like fights and things like that. Be careful driving, because Mars in the eighth house could mean aggressive driving. Be careful on the roads. And Sun in Scorpio it's like a hidden investigator. Okay, so eighth house anyway is the house for hidden things, and for Aries, it's all happening in the eighth house, and Sun is the fifth house ruler in the eighth house. So something to do with your children, change, transformation with respect to your children, maybe change in your love, romance, or this could mean a very deep with a spiritual foundation, a deep connection relationship that is based on a spiritual foundation with your children or with your romantic partner. Okay, not a good time for speculation, because fifth house is speculation. It's the ruler is sitting in the eighth house of change, transformation, and also secrets, also hidden things. So do not take any unnecessary risks. So that's all for Aries rising. The month of November. Again, Venus is going to change from Leo to Virgo starting November 2nd throughout the rest of the month. And then Mercury going to change signs from Libra to Scorpio November 6th. And Mars and Sun going to change sign from Libra to Scorpio November 15th and 16th. Next will be Taurus rising. So let's start with the beginning of the month. Let's start with the November 3rd. So now we'll look at Taurus rising. Okay. Taurus rising. So let me put Taurus as the rising sign. So this is the chart for Taurus rising for 3rd of November, right? So to begin with, Venus is going to move from Leo to Virgo on November 2nd. And so pretty much throughout the rest of the month, Venus is going to be in Virgo in the 5th house. Okay, so what does that mean for Taurus rising? Venus is sitting in the 5th house. It's debilitated, okay? And 5th house is the house for romance and speculation and children and creativity. Excellent time for creating beautiful things. 5th house is creativity. Virgo is the sign of, very detail-oriented sign and sign of commerce, sign of also, doing business, because Mercury is the ruler. It's the sign of give and take, very detail-oriented work. And then Venus is creating, all about beauty and fine things in life. So wonderful time to create something beautiful as a business. Just unleash your creativity. Okay, that's the key theme for the rest of the month of November, starting November 2nd. And again, Venus is the Lagna Lord, right? So Lagna Lord sitting in the 5th house for Taurus rising. Amazing time. You will be sort of preoccupied. Your Lagna Lord, which is you, your personality, your being, you'll be sort of preoccupied with the 5th house matters, which is your children, your romantic partners, creativity, your disciples, mantra shastra, all of that, and sports. So wonderful time to create things, but be careful with your relationship, also relationship with yourself, because it's the Lagna Lord. And also the 6th Lord sitting in the 5th house. So be careful about having any ego issues or issues at your workplace, in your job, not with your business, but with your job. Okay. So that's for Venus in Virgo for Taurus rising. Now we'll see the rest of the planets. So as of November 6th, Mercury will change signs from Libra to Scorpio. So until November 6th, Mercury has been in Libra, which should be good for communication. But because of Ketu and Sun being there as well, that wasn't the case. So this is Taurus rising. And we're looking at the period after November 6th, when Mercury will be moving over to Libra. Okay, so we're talking about Mercury placement now. So Mercury is going to shift from Libra to Scorpio as of November 6th. Okay, that means Mercury is going to be in your 7th house. 7th house of relationships, and Mercury in Scorpio means very deep communication, very could also mean secretive communication, hidden communications, right? Analytics, very, very deep analysis when you're talking with your partner. Okay, so that's the theme for Mercury sitting in the 7th house for Taurus rising for the rest of the month, starting November 6th. Okay. And also, Mercury is the planet for speech, right? So this is good time to sort of maybe, start some like webinars and things like that with your spouse, which have deep meaning, or some spiritual oriented webinars or things like that. Okay, so some form of communication, could be webinar or even written communication along with your partner. Okay, it should have some deep meaning. That is sign of Scorpio. This is a good time for that. Next, we'll see for Mars and Sun. So starting November 15th or 16th, Mars and Sun are going to be moving over from Libra to Scorpio. So the first half of the month, let me show Taurus rising. Okay, so first half of the month, Mars and Sun were still in Libra in the 6th house. So first half of the month, possibly there could be anger issues at your work, in your job, or with people who work for you. Okay. and maybe some pitta issues, health issues, especially pitta issues. But after mid-November, all that energy, Mars and Sun and Mercury, are going to be in the 7th house of relationships. So be careful about this pitta energy in your relationships, especially one-on-one partnerships. Okay, so Mars in Scorpio, it's like Mars wants to take revenge. It's a fearless warrior. Mars rules Scorpio. Mars in Scorpio, it's like fearless warrior, but also kind of like hidden revenge, right? So it wants to take revenge, but in a very stealthy, like a hidden fashion, not like out in the open. You won't see the enemy coming, right? So that's the energy. Sun in Scorpio, it means um, like like investigation. It's a hidden investigator, so might uncover secrets about your relationship thing. So essentially the 7th house, that is the relationships, will be in focus for Taurus rising. And these planets, 3 planets, they are the rulers of 5 different houses, right? So the 2nd house ruled by Mercury, the 5th house ruled by Mercury, the 12th house ruled by Mars, and the 7th house ruled by Mars, and of course the 4th house ruled by Sun. So there may be some hidden things with respect to your mother. Be careful dealing with foreigners, because 12th ruler is sitting in the 7th house in a secretive sign of Scorpio. But this could also mean, wonderful spiritual engagements with foreigners. Okay, and also 2nd house, the ruler is Mercury. That is all about speech, right? So after 6th November, good time to engage in some speaking engagements, as I mentioned earlier. And also Mercury is the ruler of the 5th house, sitting in the 7th house. So good combination for doing things with your children and with your spouse, basically entire family, because 2nd house is also involved. So wonderful time to spend with your family, do things that have a deep meaning, which is Scorpio. Okay, that's the energy of for the month of November for Taurus rising. Next, we'll see for Gemini rising. So we're talking about the transits in the month of November for Gemini rising. Let me put Gemini rising here. Okay, so this is the Gemini rising. Number 3 sign is Gemini. First of all, Venus is going to change signs from Leo to Virgo on November 2nd. So pretty much throughout the rest of the month, throughout the month of November, Venus is going to be in a 4th house in the sign of Virgo. It's going to be debilitated. And Venus in Virgo means practical love, calculated love. It may mean relationship issues because Venus is debilitated, but Venus and Mercury combination, very good combination for doing business, doing creative things, create something beautiful. Okay, and it's in the 4th house. You could do that with your mother. 4th house is your mother, and sitting in your home. So kind of like a perfect time for home-based business. Okay, if you do anything from your own home, sitting at home, so wonderful time to create something beautiful. So home-based business is going to flourish. And so that's and also Venus is the ruler of the 12th house and the ruler of the 5th house. So something to do with your children. Create beautiful things with your children. And there may be some losses if you're not careful, because Venus is the ruler of the 12th house, and it's debilitated. It's sitting in the 4th house. So do not spend on on your home too much, like renovations, and there may be extra expenses that you probably don't need at this time. So be careful about expenses. Venus is the 12th lord, debilitated. Next, we'll see Mercury, the impact of Mercury. So Mercury is going to change signs on November 6th from Libra to Scorpio. Okay, so let's see. So I'm going to show you the chart as of November 10th, when Mercury has moved already. So first 6 days or so, Mercury in Libra wasn't a good time for communication, because in Libra, you still had Ketu and Sun until November 6th. So this is chart after November 6th, right? After November 6th, throughout the rest of the month, Mercury will be in the sign of Scorpio. That means Mercury in Scorpio is deep communication. Mercury in Scorpio is hidden communication, intense thinking, strong analytical skills. All of that in the 6th house means something to do with your work at your job. So you may be thinking a lot at your job. Doing things for other people, very intellectually, maybe volunteering with, helping with some analytical things, accounting, things like that. Wonderful time for that. Doing service for other people's, which are, service that is Mercury oriented, like business or commerce or accounting or even sense of humor, like, with comedy and things like that. So that's the hidden sign of Scorpio, 6th house. And Mercury is the Lagna Lord, right? Gemini Lagna Lord sitting in the 6th house. So focus will be on your health also. Wonderful time to start some health routines. Wonderful time to, you may be sort of too much focused on your enemies, Shadripus. So this is a good time to take care of your inner enemies, the Shadripus, Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moh, Mat, Matsar, right? So focus on those weaknesses, the 6 weaknesses we have. Excellent, and you'll get a lot of strength during this period. So that's Mercury in Scorpio for Gemini rising from November 6th onwards. Next, we'll see Mars and Sun for the month of November for Gemini rising. For the first half of the month, you see Mars and Sun both are going to be in Libra. And let me show you the Gemini rising. So this is the Gemini rising. We're talking about Gemini rising month of November. First half of the month, Mars and Sun will still be in Libra. Okay, so this is the chart for November 17th. But the first half of the month, they're still going to be in Libra. That means, communication will be difficult. And they'll be in 5th house, first half of the month. That means also, maybe a lot of pitta, anger when it comes to your children or communicating with your children or with your romantic partner also. So be careful around that. But then second half of the month, energy will be shifting over to the 6th house with Mercury and Mars and Sun. So massive energy in the 6th house again, as I mentioned, for Mercury also. So the second half of the month, great time to do like physical exercise also. Mars and Sun, a lot of physical stuff. Mars is the Dehakarka. So like running and jogging and yoga and hatha yoga, and setting up some health routine. And Sun sitting in the 6th house means the 6th house will be in focus anyway. Wherever Sun goes, that house gets eliminated. Okay. Be careful with your enemies. Do not pick up any fights and any unnecessary fights. Mars and Sun together in the sign of Scorpio. So there may be like hidden enemies and hidden, schemes going on. So don't focus on those. Just focus on your karma. And great time to do volunteer work for other people. Okay, so that's November, month of November for Gemini rising. Now we'll see for Cancer rising. So we'll go back to November 4th. So this is the chart, November 3rd, in fact. This is the chart for Cancer rising. Okay. First of all, Venus is going to change signs from Leo to Virgo on November 2nd. So throughout the month of November, starting November 2nd, Venus is going to be sitting in your 3rd house. Venus is debilitated. So be careful with communication with your siblings, especially. Okay. Venus is debilitated, 3rd house. So that actually is a great time to pick up some new skills. And art and craft, and especially with your hands, something to do with your hands. Virgo sign is very, very detail oriented, and Venus is the sign of love and romance, and Venus is also creativity, right? So Venus is fine things in life. So wonderful time, and even make a business out of any of those skills that you want to learn, right? So a business focus, start learning some skills. And if you already have some good skills with your hands, especially, you can start utilizing those to create a business out of it. Okay, so that's, and Venus is your 4th lord and your 11th lord. So it'll bring gains. It'll bring gains if you do pick up some new skills. And you could do that with your mother also. That's the 4th lord. Okay. And also, so let's see the impact of Mercury. So Mercury is going to change signs from Libra to Scorpio as of November 6th. So first 5 days, Mercury in Libra still should have been good for communication, but not so good because Mars and Sun were also there, right? So let me show you chart for Cancer. Right? So this is Cancer rising. Mercury is, moved over to Scorpio as of November 6th. So after November 6th, you'll see the planet of communication in the 5th house. So very deep, hidden communication with your children, with your romantic partner. That's the theme. Scorpio is the hidden sign, Mercury is communication. So some deep analytical analysis, and but be careful not to over analyze things. If you focus on doing meaningful, going to the root of the matter, that kind of communication is great. And if it's very spiritual focused, very deep, spiritually focused conversations, that's great. But do not over analyze things with your children or with your romantic partner. Mercury is also the 12th house ruler. So be careful about expenses with your children, or do not overspend in your, love life, in your romantic relationships. Okay. Be careful about that. And also third ruler, Mercury is the third house ruler sitting in the 5th house. So that means good time to communicate with your siblings, do things together with your siblings, create something new. 5th house is creativity. Create something with your siblings. Excellent time for that for the rest of the month. And also until the mid of November, Mars and Sun are going to be still in the sign of Libra. So see all these 3 Pitta planets in the sign of Libra. Fire energy concentrated in your 4th house for Cancer rising. Be very, very, very careful. Communication with your mother, communication at your home in general, within your household, within your home. Make sure, there's no anger issues going on. There's no ego issues going on. There's no, like blaming going on. Okay. So, and literally be careful with physical possible fire issues at your home also. Okay. So, because all these fire energy, and that's through the first half of the month. After November 15th, November 16th, let's see the chart for that. So the second half of the month, these will move over to the 5th house. So let me show you the Cancer rising chart. Okay, so as you can see, Mars and Sun have moved over to this 5th house in Scorpio. Mars in Scorpio is, like a, warrior. It's a warrior with a, who wants to take revenge. And Sun in Scorpio is like an investigator. Okay, so all of this energy will be concentrated in the 5th house. So second half of November for Cancer rising, focus will be on the 5th house, on your children, on your romantic life, on your skills. So the best remedy is, to tackle all of this Pitta energy, tackle all of this secretive energy of Scorpio, tackle this, 12th house ruler sitting in the 5th house, is to create something new. 5th house is all about creativity. Focus on creating something new, and focus on developing a deeper relationship, deeper connection with your children and with your romantic partner. Do not focus on too much analysis, too much, give and take. Focus on just sharing things and creating things together. And you see lots, these 3 planets rule 5 of the 12 houses, right? So your 12th house ruler is there, your 3rd house ruler is there, your 10th house ruler is sitting in the 5th house. So create something for your workplace, for your profession, for your job. And also, of course, the 5th house ruler sitting there, and you have the 2nd house ruler also sitting in the 5th house. So direct connection between your family wealth, and creativity, and your children. So along with your children, along with your family, you can create something new. You can, and also, you can actually do things with your family wealth, like be creative with your family wealth, but do not take any unnecessary risks. Do not do any speculation, because 5th house is speculation, and we don't want to do any risk taking with Sun and Mars sitting there in Scorpio. Scorpio is the hidden sign, so you may not see everything on the surface clearly. Okay, so stay away from, like, speculating in the stock market and things like that. So that's the month of November for the sign of Cancer. Next, let's go back to the beginning of the month. It's the 3rd of November. So next will be Leo rising. Still coming up. So let's go to rotate the chart. So this is Leo rising, number 5 sign, right? So Leo rising, first of all, we'll analyze Venus. Venus is going to change signs from Leo to Virgo as of November 2nd. So pretty much the whole of month of November, Venus is going to be in your 2nd house for Leo rising. Venus is debilitated in Virgo, right? That means there may be issues with your family, communication issues, right? Relationship issues with your family. But Venus in Virgo is excellent for doing practical things, creating something very practical, business-oriented things with your family. That's the second house, right? And also it's the third house ruler. Venus is the third house ruler. So involve your siblings, involve your family to create something beautiful that is business-oriented, okay? And also Venus is the 10th house ruler. That means excellent time for especially, creating a business out of it. All of this, so create something beautiful with your family, with your siblings, and as your job, as a profession, as a work. And you can use some of the family wealth, or you can create something for developing your family wealth. So it's all, Venus is also banking and things like that. So and Virgo is accounting and things like that. So great time for taking care of finances, creating something new for your family, with your siblings, for your job, for your profession. So that's Venus for the month of November for Leo rising. Next, we'll see the impact of Mercury, Mars, and Sun. I'm rotating the chart. So come back to Leo rising, okay? So first of all, Mercury is going to change signs from Libra to Scorpio as of November 6th. What does that mean? Until November 6th, first 5 days or so, Mercury is in Libra. It's still with the Sun and Mars, so difficulty in relationships and communication. After November 6th, for the rest of the month, Mercury is going to be in Scorpio. And until the middle of the month, Mars and Sun will still be in Libra. Okay, what does that mean? For Leo rising, Mercury will be in Scorpio starting November 6th. It's the hidden sign. So Mercury in Scorpio means hidden communications, okay? It means very deep communication, esoteric communications, right? So discussions around spirituality, around meaning of life, especially in the fourth house, is what gives you happiness, the Sukhasthana, right? The fourth house is the house of inner happiness. So for Leo rising, excellent time to engage in some conversations, even with yourself or with your mother. That's the fourth house. Or in your household, just sitting in your home, initiate discussions, very meaningful, logical, intellectual, more than logical, intellectual discussions about meaning of life, about hidden things of, the secret of the universe. All of that is going to be excellent remedy for Leo rising, especially for Mercury in Scorpio. And also first half of the month, you see here, Mars and Sun will still be in Libra until November 15th and 16th, right? So first half of the month, lot of Pitta energy concentrated in your third house. Be very, very careful in your communication with your younger siblings, and also with your neighbors, with your close friends, okay? But this is a great time. The first half of the month is excellent time for you to develop some new skills, especially with your hands, and some practical skills, okay? And that, like, action-oriented skills that may involve your hands especially. Okay, so that's the energy going on for the first half of the month. And you see, ninth ruler, the fourth house ruler, and the Lagna Lord, all of those are sitting in the third house. So first half of the month, your entire focus, especially with the Lagna Lord also sitting in the third house, will be short travels or, dealing with your siblings, communication. See, third house is all about communication, journalism. Third house is marketing. Third house is desires also. So be very careful with your communication in general, but especially with your siblings. So that's the theme for the first half of the month. Now let's move to the second half of the month. Let's say go to November 17th. Okay, so I'm just moving the chart to go over to November 17th. So this is Leo rising. So for the second half of the month, as you see, Mars and Sun, they have moved to the sign of Scorpio. You see here the dates. So second half of the month for Leo rising, be careful with your communication with your mother, and there could be a lot of Pitta, anger issues at your home. Okay, be careful about that. But good time to engage in some deep conversations with your family, sitting at home, about purpose of life. But there could be some secretive things going on as well, so be careful about that. And as we see, Mars is the ninth house ruler, so it may involve your father also. Mars is also the fourth house ruler, which is your mother. Sun is your Lagna Lord, so Lagna Lord sitting in the fourth house. So the entire focus for the second half of the month will shift to the fourth house. First half of the month, First half of the month, the focus was on third house. Second half of the month, focus will be on the fourth house. So you want to be focused on your inner happiness, focus, maybe real estate, good time to investigate things in real estate. Mars is the land, and so fourth house is real estate. So good time to investigate some deals for real estate. And also Mercury is your second ruler, so that may involve your family. So maybe do some real estate deals with your family, along with your family, right? And that may bring gains because it's the 11th house ruler sitting in the fourth house as well. So maybe initiate some discussions about some real estate deals. Initiate, maybe even getting a new vehicle, something that gives you comfort, right? So in your home, do all of those things. Maybe think about getting a better home. Do not spend right away, but at least start the process of maybe figuring out how you can improve things at your home. But all of that may you need to be very careful about the details, because all of this happening in the sign of Scorpio, which is a hidden sign. So the best remedy, in fact, is just focus on Scorpio related things in your household, in your home. Focus on esoteric wisdom. Maybe join some course, Jyotish or Ayurveda or yoga, as a family, with your family, or with your father, with your mother, and do that maybe sitting from your home, right? So that's the fourth house. So that's the energy for Leo rising for the month of November. Now, next we'll see Virgo. So let's see Virgo here. So for Virgo rising, let's go to the beginning of the month, and I'll move the chart over to show Virgo rising. So this is the chart for Virgo rising. And of course, initially, so Venus is going to change signs from Leo to Virgo right in the beginning of the month, November 2nd. So pretty much the rest of the month, throughout the month, Venus is going to be debilitated, sitting in the Lagna for Virgo rising. That's number 6 sign. Okay. What does that mean? Be careful about not to be overcritical with yourself. Okay, do not overanalyze your relationship with yourself. Like Venus in Lagna, in Virgo, actually is good time to be creative, and it's sort of like developed self-love. Okay, with yourself, like you start loving yourself, no matter you may think you're imperfect, you have this flaw, that flaw. Forget all of that. Accept yourself as you are. That's Venus debilitated in the Lagna. Do not overanalyze. Do not, overanalyze your personality, yourself. Okay. And Venus is the 9th house ruler and the 2nd house ruler. So that involves your father, your gurus, and your family. All of that sitting in the 1st house Lagna means that'll be the focus. I mean, you'll be focused on creating something new with your father, with your guru, or with your family, and also dealing with your family well. So all of that is the theme for Venus for the month of November for Virgo rising. Now, next is we'll look at Mercury and Mars and Sun. So Mercury is going to change signs November 6th. So first 5 days, Mercury is still in Libra. Let's see the chart for that. So I'm going to move the chart for Virgo rise. So you see here, after November 6th, Mercury has moved over to Scorpio. That's the 3rd house. That means hidden communication with your siblings. Okay. And for the first half of the month until November 15th, 16th, Mars and Sun are still going to be in the sign of Libra. So Mercury in the 3rd house in Scorpio, Mars and Sun until November 15th in Libra in the 2nd house. What does that mean? First half of the month, be very, very cautious with your communication with your family. 2nd house is family. All this is fire. All the 3 fire planets, Pitta planets, are sitting in their 2nd house of family. Very careful talking with your family. Okay. Good time to focus on your family wealth, because this is the 2nd house is of family wealth. And then 2nd half of the month, Mars and Sun are going to move over to the 3rd house. So let me show you that chart. Second half of the month, Mars and Sun and Mercury are going to be, let's rotate the charts. So Sorry. Okay, so we're talking about Virgo rising, second half of the month of November. The energy will be focused on the third house. Okay, that means with your siblings, you'll be dealing a lot with your siblings, maybe with your close friends, maybe a lot of short distance travels. Maybe the best remedy and best thing to do for Virgo rising is to pick up some new skills, or focus on communication, focus on networking, focus on like marketing, focus on developing skills that are especially with your hands. Okay, so all of that will be the focus. All three planets ruling the 5 out of 12 houses in your chart are sitting in your third house, along with your Lagna Lord Mercury. And Scorpio is a hidden sign of, Scorpio is everything deep, hidden, right? So so Mercury is, of course, your 10th ruler also. So develop some new skills for your work, for your profession. Okay, and then Sun is, of course, the 12th house ruler. So that means careful about spending or with your siblings, or on your siblings, or because of your siblings, right? So 12th house is the house of expenses, sitting in the third house, but also an excellent time to work on your sadhana, because 12th house is the subconscious mind. Third house is the house of, third house is fourth house from 12th house, and third house is the house of courage. So be very courageous when comes to developing your subconscious mind. This is the time to be jump into all of those hidden realms of other planes, right? So other planes of existence, things like that. So this is excellent time to develop skills around those areas. So that's Virgo rising. Next, we'll see Libra rising. So we're talking about the month of November for Libra rising. And I'm just going to rotate the chart to show Libra rising. So this is Libra rising, the beginning of the month. Venus is going to change signs on November 2nd. Okay, so that means pretty much throughout the rest of the month, Venus is going to be in Virgo. So it's going to be in 12th house. It's debilitated in the 12th house. Venus in Virgo. It means practical love. Okay. Venus in Virgo in 12th house. Be careful with your expenses. Okay. Be careful with your anything to do with foreigners. Okay, if you were thinking of taking a foreign trip, be careful. There may be expenses, extra expenses that you didn't anticipate. Okay, now Venus is the Lagna Lord, right? So sitting in the 12th house means you may have to let go of your ego. So for the month of November, make sure you do not have any ego issues with other people, because first house is yourself, sitting in the 12th house of losses. So the loss of your ego is the theme for this month of November. Okay. Next, we'll see the Mercury is going to change signs from Libra to Scorpio as of November 6th. So first 5 days, Mercury is still in Libra, and that was difficult for communication, for love, and relationships. Let me rotate the chart. So we're talking about Libra rising. So for the first half of the month, as you can see, Mars will still be in Libra, Sun will still be in Libra, and Mercury, of course, starting November 6th, will be in Libra throughout the month. So at least first half of the month, Mars and Sun and Ketu, that's the Pitta energy concentrated in your Lagna. So you may feel a lot of anger and Pitta issues. Literally, it's like, cool your mind. You need to cool your mind, like do Abhyanga, do Shirodhara, do some Shitali Pranayam, right? So a lot of fire, Pitta energy, first half of the month concentrated in your first house. Do not take any, impulsive action. Mars and Ketu and Sun, all the fire energy in your first house. And of course, the Sun is also your 11th house ruler. So some things to do with your friends, and 9th house ruler is Mercury sitting in the second house. So that's the different. So first half of the month, fire energy in your first house in your Lagna, but Mercury will be moving over to your second house as of November 6th. So that means focus will be on communication with some deep communication with your family. Okay, creating something to do with your family wealth, turning it into a business, like doing some things for your family wealth. And it's also the 12th house ruler sitting in the second house. So Mercury will be in your second house. The 12th house ruler will be in your second house. throughout the month of November, starting November 6th. That means be careful, do not spend money on your family. There may be expenses related to your family. Okay, be careful about that. But excellent time this whole month, entire month, almost starting November 6th, excellent time to engage in like speech, webinars and communication, and could be with your family also, or on your own, which are, very deep communication, deep subjects, like talk about spirituality, esoteric subjects. That's going to be the theme. So your voice, your words, your speech is going to be focused. That's going to be very deep and meaningful throughout the month of November, starting November 6th. Now, for the second half of the month, as you can see, Mars and Sun are also going to move over to Scorpio. Okay, so let's rotate the chart. So if you see here, Libra rising, second half of the month, the focus will be on your second house. That's house of your family, family wealth, your speech, the food that you eat. Be careful, do not eat junk food. Do not have impulsive eating habit, and focus on creating family wealth. I mean, that's a great remedy. Focus on, and also focus on your speech. Do not, speak harsh words. Mars and Sun could make you speak, anger or ego and things like that with your family. Careful about ego issues, possible ego issues with your family. Okay, but as I mentioned, Mercury is there, so very good analytical and intellectual speech. That's going to help you a lot. So speaking engagements are going to be wonderful, but careful not to have any aggression in your word. Okay. And also, Sun is the 11th house ruler sitting in the second house for the second half of the month. That means gains from your family, gains with your family, doing things with your family would be wonderful. But just be careful with your speech and communication. Okay. So creating family wealth, that, as I mentioned earlier, creating family wealth would be the theme for you pretty much throughout the month of November, but especially the second half of the month of November. Okay. So that's month of November for Libra rising. Now we'll move over to Scorpio rising. Okay, so let me rotate the chart for Scorpio rising. First of all, Venus. Venus is going to change signs to Virgo beginning of the month, November 2nd. So pretty much throughout the month of November, Venus is going to be debilitated in Virgo in your 11th house for Scorpio rising. Okay. Be careful with your speech, with your relationship with your friends, because you may be very calculated. You may be calculated. You may be like, I gave you 50 rupees or dollars, and then you need to give me back 50 or more than 50. So it's going to be very, very practical relationship with, but careful not to overanalyze, not to overthink, not to be too practical or too perfectionist with your friends. Okay, but great time to do some creative things. Venus is creativity, and sixth house is sixth sign. Virgo is very detail oriented sign, right? So create some very fine, unique things, art, music, stuff like that, and that could bring you gains. Okay, and Venus is also your 12th house ruler, actually. So careful about not to spend too much with your friends. Do not have a lot of parties. Do not go out and spend a lot of money with your friends, because 12th house ruler is the is the planet for expenses, sitting in the 11th house of your friends, right? So be careful about that. But also 7th house ruler is Venus, is in the 11th house. So do creative things with your spouse, with your partner. But be careful about with your relationship with them also, because Venus is debilitated. Venus is the planet for relationships and the ruler of your 7th house of relationship. So careful about not to be too practical in your relationship. Okay, be a little bit light-hearted. Be a little bit carefree. Do not be too over analytical in your relationships. That's the thing. Next is, we'll see how Mars, Mercury, and Sun are placed for the month of November. So this is going to be the chart for November 10th. So let me rotate it for Scorpio rising. So this is Scorpio rising. So Mercury is going to be in your Lagna starting November 6th. But Mars and Sun are going to be in your 12th house until the mid of the month. So first half of the month, Let's focus on Mars and Sun. First half of the month, a lot of fire energy in your 12th house. Be very careful about, having any unnecessary expenses. Okay, 12th house is house for foreigners. So maybe if you're dealing with foreigners or if you have business in foreign countries, be careful about any anger, pitta issues dealing with foreigners. Okay, probably not a great time to take any foreign trips if you can avoid, because of a lot of fire energy. But if you do have to, travel, that's fine. Just be careful with actual, practically fire issues and things like that. Okay. So that's the first half of the month. And also, Mars is also your 6th house ruler sitting in the 12th house, and Mars is also your Lagna Lord. So let go of your ego completely, especially the first half of the month. Be very, very careful about ego issues, because your Lagna Lord sitting in the 12th house, along with Ketu and Sun, so your ego will be cut off. You'll suffer if you have any ego issues or anger issues, right? So that's the key message, the key theme. So that's first half of the month of November. Now, the second half of the month of November, when Mars and Sun are going to move over to Scorpio into your Lagna. So let's, the chart is still coming. So let's rotate the chart to show Scorpio rising. So this is Scorpio rising, second half of the month of November. Entire focus will be on your Lagna, okay? And Scorpio is a very deep hidden sign, right? So excellent time to do self analysis, like go deep and meditate and figure out the meaning of existence and why you're here, all of that, and self improvement, accepting yourself as you are. Just go deep within and discover your true nature, all of that, and also. A lot of these planets rule like your 6th house, your 10th house, your 8th house, all of that, and your 11th house. All of those planets sitting in your Lagna. So a lot of energy. Maybe start some health routines. Maybe dive into some esoteric subjects. A study of deep esoteric subjects could bring you gains. That's also the 11th house ruler, right? So gains from studying some spiritual sciences, and that'll be very good for you. It's sitting in your Lagna. Start some courses like that. Okay, so that's the second half of the month of November for Scorpio rising. Next will be Sagittarius rising. Okay, so we're talking about Sagittarius rising, the month of November. Let me rotate the chart to show Sagittarius rising. This is Sagittarius rising. First of all, Venus is going to move to Virgo, beginning of the month, 2nd of November. Right, so Venus is debilitated in the 10th house. Be very careful with your co-workers, relationship at work. Do not overanalyze. Do not, criticize. Do not compare. Do not have too much analysis paralysis. Right. So at your work, at your profession, but otherwise, very good placement, very good time throughout the month of November to create something beautiful at your work, for your profession, for your job, for your business. Okay. That's Venus. Venus is the planet for creativity, and Virgo is a detail-oriented sign. So do create some beautiful things throughout this month. And also Venus is the 11th lord, right? So that will bring gains for you. Venus is also the 6th lord. So that means, combining your health and maybe create something connected with your health routine. Also 6th house is enemies. So that's again, one other caution is 6th house ruler sitting in the 10th house. Be careful about maybe some hidden enemies at your work, or do not pick up any fights. Do not be very aggressive or very calculative, very analytical with your coworkers or with your people who work for you. Also, that's another theme. So that's Venus, energy of Venus. And then we'll see the Mars, Mercury, and Sun, how they are placed for Sagittarius rising. Let me rotate the chart. Okay, so this is Sagittarius rising. First half of the month, well, Mercury is going to change signs November 6th. So November 6th onwards, Mercury is going to be in your 12th house. That means a very hidden, deep analysis of your subconscious mind. So go dive deep into like esoteric sciences, astral travel and energy healing and clairvoyance. All of that is going to be wonderful for you throughout the month, starting November 6th. But also first half of the month, Mars, Sun are going to be in your 11th house in sign of Libra, along with Ketu. So lots of fire energy in your 11th house, the first half of the month of November until November 15th, 16th. That means careful with your communication with your friends, with your elder siblings. And Mars is also your 12th house ruler sitting in the 11th house. So do not spend too much with your friends, going out with your friends and dinners and things like that. Very, very careful on social media, right? Do not pick up fights on social media, Facebook and things like that. It could backfire, like literally 3 fire planets sitting in the 11th house of social media, 11th house of your friends. Okay, so be careful about that. So that's the first half of the month. Second half of the month, I'm going to shift to, say, November 17th. I'll show the chart. After November 15th, 16th, let's rotate the chart for Scorpio, Sagittarius rising. So after the second half of the month, Mars and Sun are going to move over to Scorpio in your 12th house. So the focus will shift from 11th house over to the 12th house. So there may be a lot of hidden, deep things happening that you may not be able to see on the surface. So a lot of blind spot, possibility of, secrets and secret enemies and things going on. So be careful about that. Okay, it's not to be paranoid, but do not just jump on any conclusions, or do not just observe things carefully. Do not take impulsive action, because that's Mars, right? Do not take impulsive actions. Go to the root of the matter, that is Scorpio. And also see the 9th house ruler is sitting in the 12th house. The 7th house ruler is sitting in the 12th house. So be very careful with your communication with your spouse, with your partner, because there may be issues. 12th house is the house of losses and 7th house is relationship. That means the remedy for that is Scorpio, right? So meaning have very deep spiritual conversations with your spouse. That's a perfect remedy. Discuss some spiritual subjects, maybe start some course with your spouse. Okay. And also that could be something to do with your work, because Mercury is the 10th ruler sitting in the 12th house of Scorpio, which is a very hidden sign, right? So all of that, combine all of that, and then also Mars is the ruler of your 5th house, so involve your children as well. So again, so a lot of concentration on 12th house, which may actually, mean losses, but also 12th house is the hidden things. So the remedy is to turn your losses and expenses into something, maybe give some donations also. That's a good remedy, but dive into some studies of hidden subjects, esoteric subjects, and things like that. Okay, so that's the month of November for Sagittarius rising. Next would be Capricorn. So the sign of Capricorn. Okay, let me rotate the chart. Capricorn rising. Okay, so this is the chart for Capricorn rising. We're talking about the month of November. First of all, Venus is going to move over to Virgo beginning of the month, November 2nd itself. So Venus is going to be debilitated in Virgo in your 5th house for Capricorn rising. That means be very careful with your relationship with your father, with your gurus, with your Sangha. Do not be very critical, very analytical. Do not be very super extra practical. Do not try to be perfectionist when it comes to, expecting things from your father or from your gurus. Do not be looking out, do not go out and want to find a perfect guru. There's nothing like that, right? So, but Venus in Virgo, excellent time to create something beautiful with your father, with your gurus, with the help of your gurus. That's and also Venus is the 10th house ruler sitting in the sign of Virgo in your 9th house. So maybe do that as your business, as your work. Okay, so involve your gurus, your father, and create something beautiful for your profession, for your work. And also involve your children. Venus is the 5th house ruler sitting in the 9th house. Excellent combinations, right? So all of that, focus on creativity. That's the number one lesson for Capricorn rising throughout the month of November when it comes to Venus. Okay, so next is we look at Mars, Mercury, and Sun, how they are placed. I'm going to move the chart over. So starting November 6th, Mercury is going to be in Libra, and until the middle of the month, Mars and Sun are also going to be in Libra. So we're going to analyze the first half of the month. Let me move the chart to show Capricorn rising. So the energy is focused on the 10th house. A lot of Pitta energy in your 10th house, first half of the month until November 15th, 16th. Too much Pitta energy in your 10th house. Be very, very extra careful in your communication at work. Okay, do not pick up fights at your work. That's very critical. Do not have any ego issues at work. Okay, and at the same time, Mercury is going to be in your 11th house. So any deep communication, any like deep sciences, esoteric wisdom, all of that is going to bring you gains if you can do that as a business. Okay, but first half of the month, and also, you know, it's the 8th house ruler sitting in the 10th house. So focus on spirituality, focus on deep sciences, focus on other people's money, which is the 8th house ruler is other people's money, right? So, but be careful about ego issues first half of the month. Now, the second half of the month, Mars and Sun are going to move over to your 11th house in Scorpio. So I'm going to move the chart. Just rotate the chart to show Capricorn rising. So this is Capricorn rising. As you can see, second half of the month, Mars and Sun move over to the sign of Scorpio in the 11th house. So very careful about your communication with your friends and also communication online, like social media and things like that. But see, you have the 8th house ruler sitting in the 11th house. That means gains from esoteric wisdom, change and transformation, study some spiritual sciences that will bring gains with your friends. Encourage your friends to do that as well. Okay, and do that as a business. Mercury is sitting there. Scorpio is hidden sign. Okay, and also the 4th house ruler is also sitting in the 10th house. So involve your mother. Maybe do at your home, home-based business with your friends that has a spiritual inkling to that, right? So, and at the same time, Mercury is the 9th house ruler and the 6th house ruler sitting in your 11th house. So do some things, especially connected with your health. Okay, with your friends, maybe start, going to gym or something, start some health routine with your friends. That's an excellent remedy for all of this. Maybe with your father, with your gurus. Okay, so gains from your gurus are indicated. That is throughout most of the month, starting November 6th. So gains from the gurus, gains from teachers, gains from your father. All that is indicated as Mercury is the ruler of 9th house sitting in the 11th house. Okay, so that's all for Capricorn rising. Next would be Aquarius rising. I'm going to rotate the chart for Aquarius rising. Okay, Aquarius rising, number 11 sign, right? So first of all, Venus. Venus is going to change signs from Leo to Virgo on November 2nd. So pretty much the whole of the month of November, Venus is going to be debilitated in your 8th house. Very careful about your relationships. Do not be very critical in your relationships. Do not try to be super practical in your relationship. Be, over analyze things. Okay, so there may be change and transformation, but you can focus on your esoteric wisdom. Create something that has a very deep meaning. Okay, 8th house matters. Start some spiritual course. Things like that. And Venus is your 9th house ruler as well as your 4th house ruler. So maybe involve your mother, your father, your gurus, and dive deep into spiritual wisdom. There may be some changes with your mother, with respect to your mother, changes with respect to your gurus or your father. But the best remedy is to create something beautiful that has a spiritual meaning, spiritual significance. And also 8th house is secrets and stuff, right? So there may be some hidden things that may come to surface, but focus on creativity, Venus, and also focus on healing. Venus in the 8th house is a classic combination for a healer. It's like Venus, the guru is Shukracharya. He's the only one who has the Sanjeevani Vidya, which is the knowledge or the wisdom to bring even dead people back to life. Okay, so that's the excellent thing to do. Focus on healing, for deep healing, focus on creating some business, creating some ideas, creating some new things that have deep spiritual meaning. Okay, next we'll see how the Mercury, Mars, and Sun are placed. So Mercury changes signs from Libra to Scorpio on November 6th. Okay, so let me shift for Aquarius rising. So this is Aquarius rising. So as you can see, Mercury is going to be sitting in the 10th house for throughout the month of November, starting November 6th. So the 8th house ruler and the 5th house ruler sitting in the 10th house. So do business with respect to some hidden esoteric wisdom, right? So and also with your children, involve your children in some spiritual studies. and create a business out of that. And this could also mean deep communication, deep hidden communication with your children. Okay, that may be transformative for you. That's Mercury in Scorpio. Okay, so all that is in. But biggest caution: be very careful when dealing with your father, with your gurus, because all the fire energy is concentrated in the 9th house, and that is for the first half of November. Okay, so first half of November, Mars, Sun, and Ketu are going to be still in your 9th house. So very, very careful about pitta issues, anger issues, ego issues with respect to your father, with respect to your gurus. Second half of the month, Mars and Sun are going to move over to your 10th house. Okay, so let me rotate the chart for to show Aquarius rising. So this is chart. So as you can see, second half of the month, the energy has shifted over to your 10th house of job, profession, career. So focus on creating something deep, that has a deep meaning, deep focus at your work for your profession. Okay, you could do that with your spouse also, because 7th house ruler is sitting in your 10th house. Excellent time to create something that has a deep meaning with your spouse for your profession, for your work. Do something together, business, ideas together. Okay, and then of course the 5th ruler and the 8th ruler, as we saw, is sitting in the 10th house as well. But also you have the 3rd house ruler. You could do things with your siblings also. Okay, and 10th house ruler sitting in the 10th house, of course. So the entire focus for the second half of the month of November will be your 10th house: job, profession, authorities, dealing with superiors, things like that, name and fame. But very careful with your communication. There may be some hidden communications going on at your work with respect to your profession. So that's the month of November for Aquarius rising. Next is Pisces rising. Let me rotate the chart. So we're going to look at the month of November for Pisces rising. First of all, Venus. Venus is going to be in the sign of Virgo throughout the month of November, starting November 2nd. That means Venus is going to be debilitated in your 7th house of relationships. Be very careful when it comes to your relationship. Do not over-analyze things in your relationships. Just let things go. Try to be very, forgiving. Okay, do not be very calculative, because Venus in Virgo could be like very, very nitty-gritty calculations when it comes to relationships, right? So that's number one caution. But excellent time for you to create something with your spouse, with your partner, with your business partner, because 7th house is all your one-on-one relationships, and Venus in Virgo is excellent for creating some beautiful things with a business-oriented focus. Okay, so that's Venus sitting in the 7th house for Pisces rising. Okay. Next, we'll see Mercury, Mars, and Sun. So we'll first see the first half of the month. After November 6th, Mercury is going to move over to Scorpio, and Mars and Sun are still going to be in Libra. Let me show you the Pisces rising, right? So this is Pisces. So we're talking about Pisces rising. First of all, Mercury is going to be in your 9th house starting November 6th. But first half of the month until November 15th, Sun and Mars and Ketu are still going to be in your 8th house in Libra. So a lot of fire energy concentrated in your 8th house. So for Pisces rising, first half of the month, entire focus will be on your 8th house. Be careful driving, very, very careful driving. Do not do, rash driving. Be careful handling fire, literally fire, right? But you can, excellent times. You see, the fire is what change, transformation. 8th house is change, transformation. So this is a perfect time. If you dive deep into any esoteric subjects, you will really can channelize that transformative energy of fire into wisdom. Okay, so excellent time for that. And then the second half of the month, so let's say November 17th, and I'm going to shift the chart. Let me rotate the chart for Pisces rising. So this is Pisces rising. Okay. Second half of the month, the energy is going to shift to your 9th house. Focus will be all about your gurus, your father, your pilgrimage, long distance travels. And you see, like sixth house ruler will be in your 9th house. The second house ruler and will be in your 9th house, right? And you're, of course, the 4th house and the 6th house, 7th house ruler will be in your 9th house. So lots of energy focused in the 9th house. Create some things with your father, with your gurus. Dive deep into some esoteric wisdom. Okay, this is actually a great time to learn from the gurus. Go into some deep esoteric wisdom subjects, study with your gurus. But be careful about any ego issues with your father, with your gurus. So that's the caution for Pisces risings. So that was the overall analysis for the month of November. Very detailed analysis we did for each rising sign. You can keep coming back, and I've explained with the chart. You can see the rising sign and where the planets are placed. If you have any questions, please send any number of questions in your comments or in my email. You can subscribe to my newsletter. Also going to my website, Ganesha, it's Ganesha-Hanuman.com. And there are lots of other videos I'll be posting. So I'll put the links up here. And please like, share, and subscribe. And thanks for watching. Namaste.